All rise for the jury, please. Thank you. May all be seated. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Again, we're going to start the same way that we have every other day, and that is with a question. Has anything occurred since we were last together that causes any of you to believe you could not continue to serve as a fair and impartial juror in this case? If so, please raise your hand. No response. All right, when we took our break on Wednesday, we were towards the end, but still in the midst of a video deposition, and I think that, or not deposition, I'm sorry, a video interview of the defendant, and I think that's where we're going to resume. Is that right? Okay. All right, go ahead. Oh, no, sorry. My bad. There we go. Yep. Certainly not me.
I just accidentally pee a little. Now my pants are wet. Oh. Alright. Hey, Keith. We're gonna take you to the restroom. Okay. We're gonna stay in there. The hall door is gonna be closed where you have your privacy, but we need you not to wipe. Okay. And please don't flush the toilet. Just so that we can verify that indeed you did not wipe, because what we're worried about is potential evidence of consequences. Okay. Okay. Hi. You can leave your things here, so we're just coming right back into this room. Secure area, huh? I'm sorry? I said I acted like I wasn't in like some secure area or something.
It's fine.
I guess I'll go to sleep. Can I go to sleep? Hmm. Oh. Hmm. Hot. I just need to stretch. Oh. Is there anything I can read or do? Oh. He's waiting for the bone. Really, you think I can read? Or I read the book for me? moving. I'm having really bad chest pain. Like right here.
Okay.
My chest, that's so
Okay, sit down. We'll call for help.
bad chest pain. I need to probably
Okay,
get out of the clothes in.
just sit in the couch.
So you tell me we can't do it.
I'm telling you, we're gonna call for help right now, but I want you to sit down.
I can't breathe. I'm just asking to be out. I can breathe.
No,
Tight and closed, and I'm claustrophobic.
you just need to sit down on the couch.
It's really hurting. So.
Sit down on the couch.
I can't breathe. I'm just asking you to open the door.
Medical response.
I just want to breathe. I'm asking you to keep the door open. That's all.
No, now we're gonna have to call you an ambulance because you said you got chest pain.
I just told you I chest pain. It's claustrophobic. I can't breathe.
So we're gonna call you an ambulance.
I asked for you to open the door. I just can't breathe.
Well, you're being detained right now, so sit
But
down on the
I
couch.
can't breathe. I just wanted the door open, and you refused that. That's all I asked
You're being detained, and the door helps that.
for.
Okay,
Anywhere.
so sit down on the couch.
You just leave the door open so I can breathe?
Sit down on the couch.
I told you earlier I was claustrophobic and had really bad anxiety, and I take Lorazepam for it.
Yeah, well, you're claustrophobic until.
No, excuse me, I take Lorazepam every day, and if I don't take it, I could have a panic attack. I take it on panic attack. So you are misquoting what you heard, sir. Just said open the door.
Okay, well, we're gonna have medical come check you out.
I mean, ridiculous.
You said you're having chest.
Yes, I just since the door's been closed, I haven't taken my anxiety medicine. I've taken it so many days in a row. I'm having.
You had told me,
I don't ever take it except on panic attack.
yes, you had told me earlier that you don't take it on a regular basis,
I don't.
but whenever,
Panic attack. When I put
are
it
you
in the last
having-
few days, I feel like I am. That's why I kept asking you to open the door. So now this gentleman thinks that I'm being frustrating to deal with him when I asked several times just to open the door and let me get fresh air. That's all I asked you several times.
would it be helpful, like, do you have your lorazepam?
No, I don't.
Was it in your car?
No, I
in your
don't.
house? Or,
That's why I asked that I open the door.
like, do you want to see a medical personnel, or?
I mean, I wanted the door open because I was having chest pains. That's all.
So what I need very clearly from you right now is for you to tell me whether or not you feel like you are having a
I feel like
medical
I am having a
emergency.
panic attack now.
Okay. Do you feel like you're having a medical emergency that you need to be seen by a medical provider for?
I mean, not probably at the moment, but I am having chest pains, and usually it's a panic attack overing.
Okay.
I mean, I haven't taken it, so it's like taking me off of it because I couldn't get to it yesterday. I do. I've had general anxiety since I was 16.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. So I literally
can't
opened the
be
door and
anytime.
asked him, could I just open the door? That's all. And
Okay.
he started making accusations.
Well, I'm sure that wasn't his intention. I'm sure he wasn't
never
intending to.
intention, but I didn't come at any of you. Have I came at you been disrespectful to you?
No, and I hope that you don't feel like I've been disrespectful
No,
to you either.
that was very unprofessional, what you did.
I don't think so. I told you we were gonna call medical. That's
No, that's not what you
response.
said. That's not what you
Okay.
said. But,
No, that's
So-
true right then, and it's on recording.
but that is not what you said. You started making up reasons why when I do have testing.
Okay. Well, I believe that you have testing. So like I said, if you would like medical attention, then we can get you medical attention. Is that what you want?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. That's what he told me to getting. And he told me to sit back down and shut the
I'll
door.
sit here with her if you want to.
Thank you. Just
make
leave the
sure
door
she's
open. That's all I'm asking. Want the door open.
So we'll get somebody to come check you out. Do you have any kind of, other than the anxiety disorder,
No,
do you have any other medical conditions that we should be aware of?
No, I'm just hungry and tired, and
Okay.
when I get like this, I panic attack.
So, I mean, I gave you a hot pocket earlier. Is there something else that I can get for you? Do you want a sandwich? Do you want have burrito? I have tamales. We have all kinds of stuff here. We can order something if there's something that you need to eat. You just got to tell me what it is. What would you like? I mean, obviously, I'm not gonna buy lobster, but what would you like to eat?
First, I would like to see can they like help me with anxiety medicine?
Do you need somebody to bring your anxiety medicine?
Like,
We have anxiety medicine here. So
yeah, I'm saying you said you could call medical professionals.
sure, I can call like An EMT, like they're gonna call an EMT, but they're not gonna be able to dispense medication to you. If you have a prescription, I mean, maybe your husband can bring it and we can get you your medication. You can self-administer what you already have prescribed to you.
Sorry, I'm pulling up right here.
Huh?
My throat is flowing now. When all I asked was for the door to be opened.
Okay, well, let's open.
I know, but he was very like rude about it. So could I please read? That's all.
Well, maybe you two y'all's personalities don't click. You know,
No,
sometimes that happens.
But come on, I'm a human being. It's the door. Clearly, I'm not going anywhere. The door. Fine, open the door. That's all I asked.
Well, let's open now. So we
Yes,
can-
I appreciate you saying.
You know, if there's anybody at your house that can bring your medication.
But sorry, my medication is not at my house. Probably. Book bag. So yeah, it's probably in my book bag. Let's put it my friends on right here. I don't know the number because you guys took my phone.
Well, if you want to tell us your passcode, we can get the number out of the phone. If that's
You
what
guys
you're gonna do.
already had the passcode because I told you plainly earlier when you were here about something. I said the code for, I think it's the same password we use for everything. No.
I don't know what that passcode is. If you want me to get your friend's phone number out of your phone, if you want to give me the passcode, then I can.
Okay, but you said medical. By the time my friend would get here, the medical people could already.
But they're not going to be able to dispense medication. Like the EMT is not going to be able to dispense medication.
So have a chest pain, you're just telling me I can't do nothing.
No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying they're calling for medical personnel, but it's going to be an EMT. You're telling me your chest pains are anxiety related, and I'm trying to offer a valid
Right.
solution to get you your prescribed medication for that issue.
It's because I haven't taken it, so you
I get
no.
that.
Let's move it. It's one air.
Do you have any, like, you know, some people, whenever they have anxiety attacks and stuff like that, they have like little like songs that they sing to themselves or things that they think about that kind of help calm their mind, calm their anxiety. Do you have anything like that? Maybe like a favorite vacation that you've been on?
I'm trying.
What's your favorite vacation you've ever been on?
Probably Aruba.
What did you do while you were in Aruba?
All right, gotta breathe.
Sure.
Fighting like right here, you know. Thanks for opening it.
Absolutely.
Oh. Not kind of spreading right here. Are they almost here?
I've been standing here with you, so I don't have that answer. When was the last time you took your lorazepam?
took it. I'm saying like, you take that, like that policy, that amount, you can't just not take it the next day. You have to like,
Right, so I'm asking, when was the last time you took it?
so I would have taken it yesterday. What's today? What is today?
Today
It's the
is
day of the week.
Wednesday.
Yeah, so I didn't take it Tuesday or today.
So you said your favorite vacation was Aruba?
Mhm.
Do you like to like scuba dive or snorkel or?
And I'm being serious. I'm getting dizzy now.
Okay, we'll just lean back on the couch.
But yeah, I like boating activities.
Floating activities.
Yeah.
Oh, oh, oh. Yep, feel free to put your feet up if you need to.
I don't care about y'all taking my what's it called? Wiping my thing because of evidence. So don't think because I know that's what I do. He noted and said you're gonna take it anyway and you can have it. That's what part of it. But I really have a chest pain.
Believe you?
So my body is not everyday condition and I work out a lot and right now. I took a Tylenol, that's why I spoke earlier. I took a Tylenol. I got started getting like a headache and a little bit of light, but sometimes that helps, you know.
Sure.
Maybe a bit sunburn. Like if I had like something to ask him, could I get something to read? That might would help. If you talked about focusing on the brain or something, I feel like that would help, you know? But he said I couldn't have anything to read.
Ever have we talked about other questions? Off the time pass?
Can you give me your command? I can't hardly breathe.
Okay.
But I will certainly do it for you.
Are you okay listening to me? Is that okay?
What's your number? Right?
Yeah, you can take your time to answer.
I want to answer you right away, so then that would trigger that. So it's gotta take just like 3 minutes or so.
Absolutely.
Oh. Okay.
That's all.
It's great again. It's hard to breathe in here. Why does it sound like hard to breathe?
Please get stuffy after a little bit. They do.
You do?
Yeah, I mean, we got one.
Yeah.
Um, you know. Where did you get those shoes?
Your old shoes.
I've seen pattern before.
Yeah, your old shoes. All the Nike freaks are like that.
Well, not that same pattern. Maybe the sole in it.
No, if it's a 5.0, a different 5.0 is if it's the same one. But I don't remember really where they went. They're probably like a 2012 model. Maybe 14. Something like that.
Yeah, I've had my Nikes forever. They last for a while.
Are they coming? I need to get some oxygen or something.
That's coming. So sometimes if you lean
I
forward,
did, I couldn't breathe.
you can't breathe.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you have a bit of anxiety, is that right?
Well, I guess really that was my diet changes and like workout changes and I can't breathe. So I asked that guy to open the door and he told me no and shut it and like leave. Is that light blinking out there?
Yeah, it blinks.
There.
There we are. That's all there. Thank you.
You sure?
Yeah.
I am paramedic fire department. What's going on?
I have a little bit of chest pain. Right, just like right here and now I can't breathe. I just tried to get him to open the door so I could breathe, but
Okay.
it wasn't.
When did this happen? All right.
I didn't have like I took a residue, so I don't know if it might be anxiety related, but I
Okay.
don't know.
Just check it.
I had anxiety since I was like since I was 16.
You just take the lorazepam as needed?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I had taken it like a few days in a row, so without taking it, I feel like I'm doing
You can lay back if you're more comfortable.
even sick.
Okay. You currently have chest pain right now?
Yep.
What does it feel like?
Right now it's going up more and more.
What does it feel like? Is it a stabbing pain? Is it a pressure?
No, it's like pressure.
Pressure. Okay. Are you nauseated?
Yep.
Abnormally short of breath?
Well, I could breathe in here, and I kept asking them could they open the door so I could breathe.
Okay. We're just gonna check your heart. Put some stickers on you and take a picture of the electrical activity of your heart there. Any other medical problems other than anxiety?
Any other one? I mean, like dealing with that area or in general? In general?
Do you have any other medical problems like
Yeah, no.
diabetes,
Yeah, like-
pressure,
Yeah, like asthma,
asthma?
but not those other ones that you
Do
say.
you have any other diagnosed medical history from a doctor?
No diagnosed, no.
Okay. Do you take any medication every day other than the lorazepam we already talked about?
Not every day, no.
What other medicines do you take today?
I don't know what it's called.
What is it for?
Mhm.
Vital. Do you have any allergies to medication?
No.
What's the birthday? Yeah, this one not too. How old are you?
Hmm?
How old are you?
Oh, yeah, 35. No.
Dan, what's your date of birth?
Uh,
What's that?
35.
No, what's your date of birth? What day were you born? In what year?
35.
Okay, we're gonna come up with. Stickers on your chest. Just a good look at your heart, okay?
Did I ask anything wrong? I don't understand.
I'm just asking what your birthday is.
Oh,
And you keep saying 35.
older.
Sir? What are you super off about? What day in August? Well, we're gonna have to put some stickers right underneath your left breast here so we take a look at your heart. What year?
Oh. 1983.
1983.
Ma'am, I didn't catch your name. Give me your name, please. Letecia.
Can you spell Lisa, please? Give her his name on it. Maybe we can write down. Please. And when's the last time you had problems with your anxiety?
I have it every once in a while, like whenever I don't eat and don't, like exercise, different routines.
Any drugs or alcohol today?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
What have you taken?
that's them. Earlier before I went to the bathroom?
I'm asking if you took drugs or alcohol.
Oh, yeah, like, I don't know. I get really dizzy.
Thank you. Yep.
We're really dizzy.
Your vital signs look good. I'm gonna take a look at your heart here, okay?
Okay, cool. Can I sit up for the breathe?
Okay, sit up, sir. Make yourself comfortable. Do you want to turn your legs over here so you can sit down and lean against the back of the couch?
Okay.
Doctor?
Yeah, I'm dizzy.
Yep, your, one on that stuff. Here's her.
Kind of going down to my stomach. Like right here. Oh. Can't really breathe. So.
You're getting enough oxygen?
I know, but I feel like I couldn't really breathe. I just want like you got is it like some oxygen, air?
That's what I'm saying. You're getting enough oxygen. Right now, you need to control your breathing.
Okay, I'm trying.
Slow your breathing down, okay?
I'm trying.
As you know, with anxiety, if you start over breathing, then you're getting that can develop that chest pain. Right? So that's probably what's going on.
I'm trying.
I think that's gonna work.
Turn on.
Right now, the paramedics are discussing what they're looking at on the monitor.
Okay,
They're looking for-
right here.
Yep, they're looking at it right now.
Why am I doing this? I just am breathing. That's all.
I'm sorry?
I just am having breathing problems. That's all.
Mhm.
Not,
Pretty consistent with your anxiety.
not like this. I don't need this.
Yeah, I got me.
Did you go?
Well, I'm sending it right now. Yeah, would you like to go to the hospital?
Yeah.
Your heart looks good, everything looks normal.
Yes, I want
Okay, which hospital would you like to go to?
I mean, I don't even know where I'm at.
Okay, we're doing so Memorial's the closest.
Okay.
Sounds good. My phone stickers. I think we're gonna have to do it when we get down to the.
I'm getting cold.
Okay, hang tight there. If you feel like you're gonna get, then go ahead and hold on to the bag here. We're just gonna figure out what we got going on here. Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and, we're gonna walk out here to the, all your things. Are those your sunglasses? Yeah, your tools and your sunglasses.
Put them in there.
All right. Yep. I need to get fit with that. Okay, right out there. Then just kind of on that top there. Okay. Your oxygen saturations are 100%. Oxygen saturations are 100%. If you're having an anxiety issue, I think when you have anxiety issues, one of the common symptoms is feeling like you can't breathe, although you're doing kind of. You can just flow in through your nose, out through your mouth, and just take deep breaths. Yeah, take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. We got it. Okay.
Prosecution?
We just would bring Jessica Bethel back to the stand, Judge.
Ms. Bethel, if you would resume your seat in the witness stand, I remind you, ma'am, that you're still under oath.
Good morning, Miss Bethel. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm well, thank you.
Good. You told us on Wednesday when you were here how many homicide investigations you were involved with. Can you remind us again how many that is?
Over 100.
Is it fairly common in your experience that when people are at the sheriff's office on a murder investigation and detained that they can get very nervous?
Yes,
Is that what was apparent with the defendant there at the end of that video?
yes.
Overruled, I think she can offer an opinion regarding her experience based on other, the responses of other people that she's been in contact with.
So go ahead and answer that.
Yes.
Early in the, I guess I shouldn't say early in the interview, but at some point in the interview, it appeared that the defendant was trying to leave the interview room and then a separate person comes in and has her phone. Do you remember that portion?
Yes.
Who was that other person, first of all?
That was Lieutenant Mitchell Mahalko.
Is he with the sheriff's office also?
Yes, he is.
Was it very apparent by her actions at that particular time that she wanted to leave and wanted to take her phone with her?
Yes.
When she showed up at the sheriff's office, do you know how she got there that day?
She drove herself in her Tiguan.
And is that when we had testimony from another detective? Is that when it was observed that it appears to have just been recently washed prior to driving down to the sheriff's office?
Yes, that's correct.
We see the medical folks come in, the ambulance folks. Where did they take the defendant after leaving the video there?
They took her to Memorial Hospital on Boulder.
Is this, and we've already had testimony from forensic nurse examiner Amanda Van Nest. Is that interaction with the FNE, the nurse, does that occur as soon as she gets to the hospital when she leaves the sheriff's office here?
That interaction did not occur immediately when she got to the hospital, no.
I mean, the same day.
Yes.
That's what I mean. I shouldn't have said the word immediately. But she goes from the sheriff's office by ambulance directly to the hospital, and then at the hospital is where she interacts.
Sustained. Rephrase.
Sure. Does she leave directly from the sheriff's office in an ambulance?
Yes, she did.
Did the ambulance drive her directly to Memorial Hospital?
Yes.
At Memorial Hospital, is that when she had contact, she being the defendant, had contact with forensic nurse examiner Amanda Van Nest?
Yes, that's correct.
At that hospital, after being there for some period of time, did the defendant walk away from the hospital before completing a sane exam?
Yes, she did.
So did this purported anxiety attack achieve her goal of wanting to leave the sheriff's office?
Ultimately, yes.
Would committing a murder and being detained in the sheriff's office cause somebody to have nervousness and potentially have a panic attack?
Sustained.
So I want to jump ahead in time. After the defendant left the hospital on January 29th, were you aware of where she was?
Throughout the investigation, I was aware at certain times, yes.
Okay. Were you aware of when she actually moved things out of her house on 6627 Mandan Drive?
Yes,
What day was that?
the 31st of January.
So 2 days after your interaction with her at the sheriff's office.
Yes.
In between those two events, did you have any other personal contact with her face to face?
I did not.
Did you attempt to have any personal contact with her face to face?
I did not.
Once that occurred at the house on January 31st, where she moved things out, are you aware that she had a TV interview with Spencer Wilson from KKTV?
Yes, I observed that.
In that interview, and we've had testimony from Spencer Wilson earlier, she complained that in her interaction at the sheriff's office, she was not allowed to eat or drink or take bathroom breaks. Was she allowed to do those things at the sheriff's office?
Yes, she was offered those things.
In that interview that we just watched over the later in the day on Wednesday and then this morning, at some point the defendant made a reference to you about, well, you've been in my house, you know what it's like there. When did you actually ever go to the house?
I went to the house, I believe it was in February.
February 21st, sound right?
That does sound correct.
Is it typical that that the lead detective potentially wouldn't have to go to scene like that, at least early on?
Yes, they would go typically early on.
What about the idea that at the beginning, it's reported as a runaway and you don't know necessarily that where a scene might be that you need to look at? Does that play into the fact that you don't go as early?
Yes.
This is leading.
No, it does not suggest the answer. Overruled.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Do you remember getting text messages from the defendant into February of 2020?
I know there were several times that she sent me text messages. I can't recall all of the dates specifically.
Sure. But were you getting text messages from her after she left the house on January 31st?
Yes.
Did you become aware of the defendant attempting to get her passport and bag back from evidence?
Yes.
Do you remember when that occurred?
I believe that was also on the 31st.
Okay. Did you get a text message specifically about those things, needing to get her passport and bag back?
I do recall asking about a passport.
Do you remember when that was?
I don't recall the date, no.
If I showed you your report, would that refresh your memory?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, may I approach the witness with her report, which is pagination 010980.
You may go ahead.
Take a look at this report and look when you're done. Do you remember that text message?
Yes, I do.
What was, first of all, let me ask you this. Was there anything odd about that text message? Was it coming from, strike that. Was it coming from a phone number that you recognized?
No, it was not.
Did you, based on context, were you able to determine who it was coming from?
Yes.
What was that context that gave you that information?
The person texting said that they did not do anything to Gannon and that there was no negligence on their part.
Okay. And so that led you to believe that it was coming from who?
Letecia.
I'm going to retrieve that report from you. At some point, was a decision made to travel to South Carolina?
Yes.
When was that made?
Early March.
Why was that decision made?
Letecia had fled to South Carolina, and by that time I had obtained probable cause and authored an arrest warrant for her, which was signed off by a judge at the El Paso County Courthouse. And so we went to Myrtle Beach to arrest her.
When you say we, can you tell us who all was involved in that process?
It was members from the local FBI, Detective Mark Riley and myself, and also local law enforcement and members of the FBI in Myrtle Beach.
Was that arrest actually affected in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina?
Yes.
Was the defendant interviewed in South Carolina?
Yes, she was.
You remember by who?
Gruesome.
Who is John Grusing and who is he with?
He is with the FBI.
Okay. And we're going to hear from him at a later time, so I'm not going to get into her interview with you. Was there some discussion had as to how the defendant would get from South Carolina back to Colorado?
Yes.
What was the ultimate decision made as to that transportation?
That she would be driven back to Colorado in a rental van.
Who was involved in driving her back?
Myself and Detective Riley, and later on Deputy Michaela James.
So did you actually stop somewhere in the middle of that drive from South Carolina to Colorado to pick up the other deputy that you just mentioned?
Yes, we did.
How long did that drive last?
More than 24 hours.
Were you with the defendant the entire time?
Yes.
What was her demeanor like during that transportation?
She was calm. She ate. She sang songs. She played trivia.
Was she able to have conversations?
Yes.
Conversations that were not related to the investigation?
Yes.
Were they appropriate conversations, meaning if she's saying things, did they make sense?
Yes.
Was she able to eat and drink?
Yes.
Was she able to use the restroom?
Yes, she was.
And you mentioned trivia and singing songs. Was that something that all of you were sort of doing in the vehicle?
Yes, just to pass the time.
And was she participating in that in an appropriate way, meaning nothing seemed out of the ordinary?
That's correct, yes.
The entirety of that transport from South Carolina to Colorado, was that audio and video recorded?
Yes.
Thankfully, we're not going to play all of those hours of video, okay?
Correct.
But why was that audio and video recorded?
I was concerned with her previous behavior that she may do something. And so I wanted to have documentation of the transport.
Okay. So I want to bring up to you People's Exhibit 338. Please take a look at that. And let me know if you recognize it.
Yes, I do.
How do you recognize it, first off?
My initials and date are on it, and it is a GoPro video of the extradition.
It's a, can you say that it's a what video?
GoPro?
Oh,
Is it only a portion of that hours-long transportation from South Carolina to Colorado?
Yes, just a very small portion.
Have you had a chance to review that thumb drive containing that GoPro video?
Yes, I have.
Is it fair and accurate representation as to the contents in that portion of the transportation?
It is.
And does that thumb drive actually contain 2 different clips? So 2 different files on the thumb drive?
It does, yes.
Is it a fair and accurate representation of that transportation portion?
Yes.
At this time, I'd move for admission of Peoples 338.
Mr. Cook?
Your Honor, Mr. Allen and I speak very quickly.
All right. All right, Exhibit 338 will be admitted. Go ahead.
Permission to publish, Your Honor?
You may, go ahead.
Well, actually, before I get into publishing that. So what are we about to see in People's Exhibit 338, just to give some context?
The first clip is a view of Letecia along with Deputy James in the back seat of the van. They're sitting in captain's seats. And during that portion of the video, you can see Letecia moving around slightly, and that's because her hands are handcuffed to a belly band around her waist, and she is manipulating her hands out of the handcuffs, and she obtains a Monster Energy can, and she strikes Deputy James in the face with that full unopened can of Monster Energy drink, and then struggles with Deputy James. I myself have noted several pre-contact cues where she is glancing at Deputy James' waist area where her gun was kept. And then ultimately, whenever I come back to assist Deputy James once the vehicle is stopped, she also glances at my waist where my gun is kept. I took that to be a threat that she was attempting to obtain one of our weapons.
So let's have some context. Where did this occur in that travel from South Carolina to Colorado?
This is in Kansas on Interstate 70.
What approximate speed were you all traveling when this occurred?
About 75 miles an hour.
What was the reaction to this action by the defendant to who was driving?
Deputy Riley was.
What was his reaction to that happening in the backseat of the van?
We immediately start giving commands to Letecia to stop. And as we're doing that, Deputy Riley pulled over to the shoulder of the interstate. Thankfully, there was an area clear for us to pull over, and he slammed on the brakes, which put her into the back seat of my seat.
Was that a highly dangerous situation that was unfolding?
Absolutely, yes.
What made it highly dangerous?
Ms. Stauch was already suspected of murder, and she assaulted a deputy who was armed and attempted to obtain her firearm.
What about the fact that you're on the highway and that action or reaction by Detective Riley had to occur? Did that also enhance the dangerousness of it?
Yes, he wasn't able to exit the vehicle to immediately help us because of traffic that was traveling so quickly next to us.
All right, let's go ahead and play that.
And I believe it's 21 minutes. Would you like me to stay up for this?
Is it
I'm
20?
fine with, yeah, it's roughly that.
Okay, you can go ahead and step down.
Thank you.
You ready?
Stop. She keeps threatening me.
Stop.
She keeps on threatening me. I have stopped it. She keeps on.
She got out of the streets.
She keeps on. Threatening me. I will for you. She keeps
Put your arm down.
Put your arm down. She keeps threatening me the whole time.
Tisha, give me your arm.
I will to you.
Tisha, give me your
I will to you, but not to her.
Cooperate with me. Cooperate with me.
I will with you, but not with her.
Cooperate with me.
I will with you, not with her.
Tisha?
I will with you. I said I would with you. Give me your arm now. I said I would with you. I said I would with you. And I wouldn't use this.
Stop resisting.
I'm not resisting. I said I would with her. I'm not touch me.
Go ahead. I got her on.
I have the song.
Tisha, stop
I'm not resisting.
resisting. Yes, you are. Stop it. Put it behind her back.
Yep.
Tisha, stop it.
I'm not even doing anything.
You just got another charge.
Well, she shouldn't be doing me like this. Stand up. Stop trying to turn. I'm not trying to turn.
You can stay that way the rest of the trip.
Here's what we want to do. We want to the nearest detention facility. Oh, everybody knows where. Oh, could you please untighten it from my hands?
Not right now, Tisha.
Yes, it's all my arms.
Lean forward. Lean forward so I can adjust it. Stop manipulating the cloth.
Eating you.
You good? You make a call yet?
No, I don't know where we're at.
Okay, hang on. Lock the doors.
I got here's what. Can you turn the air on?
Is it my t-shirt?
Well, I asked for help for the air and she's been nothing but mean to me the whole day. I can't breathe.
Stop.
I can't breathe.
What?
Just open it so I can breathe. That's all I'm asking for is to breathe. I'm just asking to breathe. That's it. Is to breathe. That's all I want to do is breathe.
2600 Avenue. We're right by Pretty Horses. On 70.
I'm not resisting her. You're hurting my arm.
My phone is jacking up. Call.
You're hurting my arm. You're hurting my arm.
Lisa,
I just
stop.
my arm. It's hurting my arm. Just let my arm go. It's hurting my arm.
The more you press against me, the harder I'm gonna press on the.
I understand. It's not the pressure point. It's my arm. It's
Okay.
bent backwards and it's hurting. Can you just take
Yes,
pressure
ma'am.
off
This
my
is
arm?
Detective Bethel with the El Paso County Sheriff's
Please,
Office.
off my
Need a
arm.
marked unit
I am.
to the 2600 block of
It's pulling my.
Interstate 70.
Pulling my wrist, please.
I have Letecia Stauch in custody. She's just attempted to escape and she's trying resisted.
I didn't try to
Hold on.
escape.
You just tried.
No, I didn't open the door to breathe.
Yes, ma'am. I'm on I-70 westbound in the 2600
When you
block.
were calm, we were not doing anything, correct?
Can you please
But
help
as
me with
soon
my,
as-
my wrist?
Let me speak first, okay?
Okay.
As soon as you try to open that
Do
door.
you remember the last mile marker we hit?
The door so I could breathe. It's hot. I asked you to help me, but you just lean over and don't help. I said, hey, could you please find out how to turn the air on? Hey, the whole time you've been nothing but rude to me.
Tisha.
I'm just putting my arm down because it's hurting. I didn't try to escape or anything. I legit opened the door to breathe.
Detective Jessica Bethel with the El Paso County Sheriff's Office. In that tradition in Tisha Stauch.
Ow, my arm is hurting.
I am in a gray Chrysler minivan bearing Michigan plates. We have the hazards on and we're on the shoulder of the road.
Tell them to pick it up.
And we need a code 3 response, please.
You said you would help my arm. I pressure.
Nope. She's assaulted.
Oh, it's hurting.
Boy Edward Tom Henry Edward
It's
Michigan.
hurting my arm. It's hurting.
8/4/83 is her birthday.
I did not try to escape.
No, ma'am, I
I
have
did
two other
not. Tell
deputies
us the
with me.
story.
SRT.
Could not breathe. I asked you to open the door.
Yep. We've got her under
Yes, ma'am.
control right now. We've got, Kansas coming out here now. Well, we're gonna get some
Yes, ma'am.
other equipment to at least secure her, or
No,
at
ma'am.
least have them, somebody take us or escort us to the border and then have one of our people come to the border.
We're hurting my arm,
Okay.
please.
Yeah, everybody's fine. You're good. Hit her. With a fist. She got out of her cuffs.
She slipped her cuffs and
She
hit
slipped them.
a deputy and tried to escape.
I did not try to escape.
So that's what our plan is. So if you can, I don't know how far we are from.
Nope,
but
we're all
As
okay.
soon as we get an escort to the.
We just need a secure unit to transport further.
Yep. We're gonna have, is that for state patrol? We'll have them escort us to the Colorado
Are
border.
you having a state patrol?
Well, my arm is hurting.
Or who's dispatching out, man?
Before you move, you ask me, where are you trying to go, okay?
Okay.
No, I just want to get off my arm. It's hurting.
Okay.
I understand, but if I feel like you're
Right.
trying to pull against me, one of those two, you're trying to.
If I could get a state patrol officer
en route as well to help me escort to the Colorado border.
Lift my head off.
Like we're good. Use your tongue, and we'll see what we can do. Yes, ma'am. I'm gonna put my partner, Detective Riley, on the phone with you. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, thank you.
We're at 284.
Okay.
Nice. Let's see.
Yes.
You okay?
Can you please lift up my wrist?
No, not up for that.
After what?
Once you're
Yes, ma'am. We're doing an expedition.
I didn't try to
Piece of
escape.
that.
I opened the door to breathe.
Back
You
to
know that.
Colorado.
Yes, I
Slipped
did.
the cuffs and
You know-
assaulted a deputy. We have her under control right now. But we would appreciate
I
it.
feel like it's breaking my wrist.
And then we'll have our state patrol meetings, if that's possible.
relax,
I
or
can't.
the pressure will get
But
worse.
if it gets worse, then guess what? I have to go to a hospital because she hurts me.
What's your number, Jess?
On that, 650-719. Should just be able to look it up.
That's correct. We're at the 284.
284 westbound.
My wrist, it's hurting. This is hurting.
Relax.
I can't. My wrist is breaking.
Your wrist is not.
It is
breaking.
hurting.
The more you wiggle, the more it's gonna hurt.
Thank you.
Relax.
I'm trying, but it's hurting. Like things aren't hurting my
Stop
wrist.
moving.
No, that's fine. We'll wait here for officers.
You're pushing down on
Thank
it
you,
more.
ma'am.
We've got some
Bye-bye.
right now.
They're coming right now.
Got 6 en route. Stop trying to.
I'm not trying to resist.
Then stop
I'm
turning.
doing to you. You're holding me for nothing.
Okay, stop trying to turn against
I'm
my
not
hand.
trying to turn against you. You're holding me.
Go ahead and unbuckle her. We're gonna make sure she's not gonna get out of her restraints this time. Let's see if they have a belly belt, a real one.
I'm hurting my wrist.
This isn't gonna happen again.
Hurting my wrist. I'm not doing anything. She's doing that. I'm not doing anything.
Turning again.
I'm not turning against you. You're doing that to me on purpose. See? Look what she's doing on purpose. Look.
Stop turning.
I'm not turning.
Stop moving.
I'm not moving.
Relax your body.
My body's relaxed.
Stop.
I'm not doing anything to you. You're trying to choke me now.
Turn your head.
Okay, you wanna bring her out?
Out for tops right now.
No, we got her back in.
Got her back in.
But they're,
The vehicle.
they're slapped on. I mean, they're not good.
We'll bring her out. We're
Yeah.
double locking.
Pull them out.
Bring her out.
Step out, Keisha.
Oh, she choked me now. It hurts.
Yeah, free tour. You're not gonna get too far, you don't get a dog, you understand?
I'm not doing anything. I didn't try to.
You better run faster.
Well, I didn't try to run away. I opened the door so I could breathe.
You guys have where you going? Colorado? Oh, Lord, you got a wet. Yeah. Do we have a what? You have a better belly belt than this? Because you're better.
I don't have it, Fred. I don't. Here, let's do this. Let's go out here in the ditch.
Let's get her down on her knees. That's what we need to get. No, they had 3 of them transport one person. Yes, they did. And they were all, he was outside too, women inside the firm, they got everything up.
So if we could just have Ms. Bethel come back to the stand, or do you want to take a break?
I was gonna request we take a break now.
That's
Is this a good breaking
Yeah,
point?
we're good.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we will take our morning break. If I can have everyone back in the jury room at, say, 10:45, we should be able to start on time at that point. Again, don't discuss the case among yourselves. Don't discuss the case with anyone else. Don't do your own independent research about any aspect of this case. With that, all rise for the jury, please. Thank you. You may all be seated. Record should reflect the jury has left the courtroom. Are we still going to finish the rest of that video, or is it?
No, I don't think there's anything more on,
Okay.
of her on there, and then I'm
Alright.
just gonna jump into finishing up with questions.
Okay, all right. Just asking, all right. All right, court will be in recess. Thank you.
All right.
Actions with her, an opinion as to her sanity during the time that you were with her and during the course of this investigation.
Your objection found.
All right, overruled.
Were you able to develop an opinion as to her sanity?
Yes,
And what is that opinion?
I believe she is sane and she is manipulative and very calculated.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Cross-examination, Mr. Cook.
Thank you. Miss Bethel, good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Will Cook. I represent Miss Stauch. I know you're familiar with. So your first contact with her was with Gannon's father, and it was at a Starbucks in Fountain?
That's correct.
Okay. And we listened to that recording?
Yes,
Okay. And you testified that she seemed to be apprehensive
that
during
was
that interview?
during the phone call
Okay.
leading up to the ultimate in-person meeting with her and Albert. Yes.
Okay. And why do you say apprehensive in the phone call?
When I contacted Letecia, I explained who I was and that I was assigned to the investigations division. And Letecia said, I've already spoken with 8 other people. And I asked her if I could meet her at the home. And she did not want me present in her home, stating that there were several young children in the home and she did not want them to overhear our conversation. And that later turned out to not be correct.
Okay. Now in the video interview at the sheriff's headquarters downtown, was that the office just right across the street from the courthouse?
Yes, sir, it is.
And it seems at times that she's very cooperative. Like she won't talk, stop talking. She just keeps going on and on and on, and she seems very personable. Is that your recollection of what was going on in the video?
In terms of her willingness to have a conversation, yes, she was willing to have a conversation.
Okay. So she didn't seem apprehensive at that point, as far as talking and meeting with investigators.
I wouldn't say that to be completely correct.
Okay. So in this, at least the first couple of hours, you say that she was still apprehensive?
In certain areas, yes.
Okay. During this interview at Starbucks or at the interview room at the El Paso County Sheriff's Office, did she ever try to physically assault you or any of the other deputies?
No, she did not.
Okay. And in one of the interviews at Starbucks, speaking with Gannon's father, do you remember when he said that they had put Gannon into counseling because of custody issues?
Yes.
Okay. Did Gannon's father ever mention that Gannon was put into custody or put into counseling because of issues between Letecia and Gannon?
No.
How long would you say you were in the car or the van total with Miss Stauch from South Carolina back to El Paso County?
Oh, we'd never made it back to El Paso County.
Well, yeah, but to where it stopped, I'm sorry.
Over 24 hours.
24
I would
hours.
say close to 24 hours at least.
Now, did y'all stop in a hotel at one point, or were y'all just switching off drivers and doing it straight?
We were just switching off drivers.
Okay. Was this some sort of police van? Was it marked, or was it just a white cargo van that you rented somewhere?
It wasn't a cargo van. It was a commercial. It was a passenger van that the sheriff's office had rented for us.
Okay. What was Miss Stauch's demeanor during, other than the video that we were watching, what was her demeanor for the other 23 and a half hours? Or 24 hours you were in the van with her?
She was calm.
Calm? And you said y'all were doing trivia, singing, that sort of thing?
Yes.
Okay. Where was everybody seated in the van when she slipped the cuff or slipped the cuffs and threw the drink at the other deputy? Who was driving?
Detective Riley was driving.
Okay, your front passenger seat?
That's correct.
Okay, where was the other deputies?
Deputy Michaela James was seated next to her behind Detective Riley.
Okay, and was Miss Stauch seated directly behind you?
Yes, she was.
Okay. Did you nap during this ride any? Fall asleep? Or were you awake and aware the whole time?
No, I wasn't able to sleep.
Okay. Now, you said that Ms. Stauch and your encounters with her seemed calm and collected.
I said she seemed calm, yes.
Okay. And that she seemed like she wasn't switching between personalities.
No.
Okay. So there was no switch in her personality from when she was calm for 24 hours in the van till she slipped her cuffs and assaulted a deputy? Was there no change in her behavior at that point, in your opinion?
There was a change in her behavior, but I don't believe a change in her personality.
Okay. May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
You may.
Ms. Bethel, do you know what this is?
It's a diagnostic and statistical manual of mental disorders.
Okay. And you see right there, it says DSM-5,
Yes,
numeral 5. Do you know what this book is?
it's a mental disorder book, I assume?
Okay. Have you ever seen it before or ever read it?
No.
Okay. Did you know in the field of psychiatry that this is more or less the Bible for diagnosing psychiatric disorders?
No.
Okay. And did you know that borderline personality disorders is listed in this DSM-5 manual?
Objection. She's already said that she's not familiar with the book.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand where you're going. She's not being.
Your Honor, can we
qualified.
approach?
The objection sustained, you can rephrase.
So, Ms. Bethel, your definition of sanity that you told Mr. Allen that you believe Ms. Stauch was with your dealings with her, it is not based on the definition of sanity is contained in the DSM-5.
Judge, I would just further object. There's no definition of sanity in that.
Well, you can examine somebody about that to your heart's content, but the question is a fair one, overruled.
And let me rephrase. When you told Mr. Allen that Ms. Stauch was sane, you're not basing that opinion on anything found in this book, the DSM-5, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Just a moment, Your Honor.
All right.
That's all I have, Your Honor. Thank you.
Redirect.
Thank you, Your Honor. How long have you been in law enforcement prior to you leaving the sheriff's office?
14 years.
During your time with the sheriff's office, what were your different duties?
I began my career as a civilian and I worked with inmates incarcerated at the El Paso County Criminal Justice Center. From there, I became a deputy in 2010 and received my post-training to become a peace officer. And then from there, I worked on patrol and ultimately into investigations.
In your experience of working at detentions at the jail, would you have contact with people that are suffering from mental health disorders?
Yes.
Would it happen fairly often?
Yes.
During your time with the sheriff's office, did you also have contact with lots of people in the public?
Yes.
Did you see people in the public that had mental health disorders?
Yes, I did.
During your time as a working at the sheriff's office, did you encounter people that had severe mental health disorders?
Yes.
Did you have contact with people that had that you might have had concerns with that they may be a threat to themselves or others, their safety?
Yes.
Did this defendant ever get anywhere close to that during your interactions with her?
No.
Thank you.
The jurors have any questions for Ms. Bethel? All right, looks like we have at least one. Council approach, please. I've received a juror question and you might be sort of thinking ahead. There are some other witnesses. I think that those questions are, these questions may be able to be answered through, but not this particular one. So with that, Ms. Bethel, you can step down. Thank you.
I'm gonna retrieve the exhibit off the witness stand, Judge. You already did it.
Oh, okay. All right, prosecution, call your next witness, please.
Christian Lewer.
I'm sorry, who was the witness?
Christian Lewer. Lewer.
All right,
L-I-E.
you would step forward, raise your right hand, please, sir. You swear affirm the testimony about to give in this man will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Go ahead and have a seat in the witness stand. Please watch your step as you step into the stand. See too many people bring a camera up with them. Okay.
I'll explain.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, everyone.
Would you state your name for the record and also spell your last name?
My name is Christian, and my last name is spelled Liewer, and it's pronounced Lewer.
And where are you employed?
I'm a crime scene investigator with the Colorado Springs Metro Crime Lab.
And how long have you been employed with the Metro Crime Lab?
I've been employed with the Metro Crime Lab for a little under 4 years now.
And in terms of your role with the Metro Crime Lab, generally, what do you do?
As a crime scene investigator, we respond to scenes, vehicle processings, autopsies, and person processings for general documentation and evidence collection purposes.
Can you tell the jury a bit more about what type of educational background you need to perform that particular role?
I have a bachelor's of science in criminal justice with an emphasis in forensic investigation, and I also have a master's degree in forensic science from the University of Florida.
In terms of certifications that you hold, can you explain the jury some of those?
Current national certifications, but through our crime lab training program, we have to go through a 6-month training program where we are reviewed and observed by a certified crime scene investigator until we are deemed competent enough to perform crime scene investigations independently.
What about continuing education or things that you do on an annual basis to ensure that you're up to date with the current technology and science? What do you do?
We go to many trainings within our scope of work. That includes blood stain pattern analysis, shooting incident reconstruction, latent print processing, and whatnot.
And how many scenes have you responded to over the course of your career thus far?
I've responded to approximately 75 crime scenes and a total of approximately 220 total callouts.
And the 75 crime scenes, was that specifically as your role as a crime scene investigator?
That is correct, yes.
And how many times have you testified in an expert capacity?
A little bit under 10 times now.
And specifically, what capacity was that?
Crime scene investigation.
Okay. And were all those in this jurisdiction?
Yes, they were.
Your Honor, at this time, the people who tendered the report, Christian Lewer as an expert in crime scene investigations.
Oh, good. Witness will be so qualified.
All right. Mr. Lewer, I'd like for you to explain to the jury your role as it relates to the disappearance of Gannon Stauch as you understood it from the get-go. How did your role start?
Absolutely. On February 3rd, I was informed that I was requested to respond to 6627 Mandan Drive to complete a search for latent blood stains and or projectile defects within the residence regarding a missing child.
And what was the specific address you were tasked with responding to?
6627 Mandan Drive.
And is that in the county of El Paso?
That is in the county of El Paso,
State of Colorado?
in the state of Colorado.
You mentioned that particular response. How many responses did you ultimately have to that residence?
I responded to that residence 3 times.
And can you break down for the jury each one of those responses, the dates and the times approximately?
Absolutely. As I alluded to before, I responded a little bit before lunchtime on February 3rd. I responded later in the evening around 6 p.m. also on February 3rd. And then I also responded on February 5th around a little bit after lunchtime.
And in terms of the Metro Crime Lab, how many people were you generally working with for your role in this case?
Each of my responses, I had an additional CSI that was in training with me. And then there were 2 other crime scene investigators that also responded on multiple days to the address.
So subsequent to your last time at the residence on February 5th, were there additional crime scene investigators that were present that helped process the scene or collect evidence?
Yes, there were.
Now, you mentioned that you were tasked, briefed with some additional information regarding looking for latent blood stains. Can you explain to the jury in very basic terms what you mean by blood and blood stains?
So blood, as you all know, is the red fluid that runs through your body that does contain genetic code and carries oxygen. When I refer to latent blood stains in a crime scene, I mean blood stains that are either very dilute or cleaned up to where you cannot see them anymore. So we have to use additional processing to make them visible.
And generally, what is contained in blood? Why is it important to you and what you do?
In a broad sense, what we're concerned about when it comes to blood is the genetic code or your DNA that we are trying to collect with blood stains.
And so in terms of your processing, is your role related to collecting, preserving blood or DNA for additional use by your team?
Yes, it is. Our role is to document and collect as much as we can.
Okay. Now you mentioned collecting, documenting. What is the specific tool that you may use when you're given information that a scene may involve blood?
There are multiple options that we have when it comes to looking at blood stains. However, when we are looking at latent blood stains, we will use a chemical called Blue Star that will assist us in visualizing the blood stains.
And generally, what is Blue Star?
Blue Star is a presumptive test for blood, meaning that it will react with blood, but it can react with multiple other substances. However, with Blue Star, when it reacts with the heme component of blood stains, it will chemiluminesce or glow a bright blue color in the dark.
You said heme?
Correct. Heme.
What do you mean by that?
It's a molecule in the blood that specifically is targeted by Blue Star in our presumptive testing.
So while Blue Star can presumptively test positive for blood, can it presumptively test positive for other substances?
It can. Most of what it will react to is any oxidizing agent, which can include cleaning agents, bleach, even horseradish. So it's presumptive in the sense that we can search for blood, but there has to be additional testing to determine if it is blood and if there is any DNA present in that sample.
Your Honor, permission to approach the witness?
You may.
Mr. Lieber, do you generally recognize what I'm holding here, which has been marked as People's Exhibit 442?
Yes, I do.
How do you recognize it?
This is a diagram that I created of the main level and the basement level of 6627 Mandan Drive.
And generally, are there various markings on this Exhibit 442?
Yes, there are. It has the address, it has what level of the scene it is, and then there are also additional blue, yellow, and purple dots within the diagram that I placed, indicating positive Blue Star reactions on my multiple visits.
And is People's Exhibit 442 a fair and accurate representation of what you created with regard to the floor plan?
Yes, it is.
At this time, we would move to admit People's Exhibit 442.
No objection.
Exhibit 442 will be admitted. Go ahead.
Mr. Lure, where there is a pointer. I'll ask you to use that as we walk through your testimony here.
Your Honor, is this the right positioning that you prefer for this? It's very big.
It's fine. It's most important that the jury be able to see it. I think maybe if you cant it a little bit, turn it the other way.
Which way, Your Honor?
Like this. Other way.
Facing the.
Sorry.
There you go. There you go.
We're good now?
Yep.
Doesn't follow. Okay. Mr. Leeward, can you walk the jury through
The diagram that appears in People's Exhibit 442, basic layout of the house.
Absolutely. Is it okay if I stand up next to the diagram as well?
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
But if you're gonna do that, you'll need to stand to one side or the other so that the jurors at the far end will still be able to see. So you just need to stand at one side or the other of the diagram.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah.
Thank you. So as you can see on the top of the diagram, or the first section of this, that is going to be the main level of 6627 Mandan Drive. And when it relates to my crime scene processing, my first response was predominantly focused on in the upper right-hand corner over here. That is the garage. We were tasked with searching for latent bloodstains in the garage earlier that day. As you can see at the bottom left corner of the garage, there's a doorway. That will open into the laundry room, which the laundry room will continue to open into the main level of the home. Towards the center of this top half of the diagram, there is a stairwell. This stairwell leads to the basement, which the basement is highlighted on the bottom level or the bottom half of this diagram. Can you guys see the bottom half over there? Is it okay if I move the diagram slightly?
That's fine.
over that?
And Your Honor, if the jurors need to stand up or move around to see the diagram, would that be permissible
Yeah,
in
that's fine.
their chair?
Yeah, if you need to, especially the guys in the hole over there, that's.
And Mr. Leeward, just so we can make sure that your voice is projected, just make sure that your voice is projecting.
Absolutely. Can you all see the whole diagram now? Fantastic. So
Can all of the jurors hear him? We have a microphone if it would be helpful, but if everybody can hear him, okay. Everybody's nodding, it's all good.
So on the bottom half of this diagram, this is the basement level. And towards the middle of this bottom half of the diagram, you can see the stairwell again. This is the stairwell that connected the upper level and the lower level. But now on the bottom right side of this half of the diagram, you'll see two rooms. The room to the bottom is the southeast bedroom, which I was informed was Gannon's room. And then the room above Gannon's room, that is a storage room or storage closet that I also searched for Blue Star. And then towards the left side of this diagram, you have an entertainment area in the bottom left corner. In the upper left corner, you have a bathroom, an additional bedroom, and an additional walk-in closet.
Great. And so when you responded initially to the residents on February 3rd of 2020, can you walk the jury through what your method of approach when you approach a scene is?
Absolutely. When we respond to a scene in any capacity, we will always go at it in the least intrusive measures. That means I will work outside to inside. So in this case, I was tasked with searching for bloodstains within the garage, between the garage and his bedroom. Because I don't want to go to the most intrusive method, I'm not going to go straight to his bedroom. I'm going to start in the garage and work my way down. And that's the same with any crime scene. We'll always start outside and get closer to what is of interest.
Okay. And you can take a seat. I'm going to ask you to look at a set of photos. You're under permission to approach the witness with what has been marked previously provided to the defense as People's Exhibits 443 through 450.
450.
443 through 450, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead.
Thank you.
Mr. Leeward, can you take a moment to familiarize yourself with that set of exhibits?
Absolutely.
And do you recognize People's Exhibits 443 through 450?
Yes, I do.
How do you recognize them?
These are photographs that I took during my initial visit or my initial processing the morning of February 3rd.
And are they a fair and accurate depiction of what you saw during your initial processing on February 3rd of 2020?
Yes, they are.
Your Honor, at this time, the people would move to admit People's Exhibits 443 through 450 and permission to publish.
No objection. Exhibits 443 through 450 will be admitted.
Mr. Lewer, whatever is going to work better for you. If you want to stand between the screen and the diagram, I'll defer to you, but I will ask you to point out various locations on People's Exhibit 442.
Absolutely.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm going to stand in front of the diagram so I can turn and show the best way for you, for the jury.
Now, Mr. Lewer, you've explained that you approach a scene from the outside moving inwards. And so what we see in People's Exhibit 443, what are you documenting here?
I'm documenting the front side of the residence. So I am facing south towards the garage. And what's important here is during our overall photographs, we want to document what address we're at. So along the right-hand side of this image, you can see 662 and then something covering the bottom part. But this is the overall view of the front of 6627 Mandan Drive.
People's Exhibit 444, what are you documenting here?
This is an overall photograph of the interior of the garage. I'm standing in the northeast corner, facing southwest towards the laundry room.
People's Exhibit 445.
Now I'm standing in the southeast corner of the garage. And again, I'm facing west towards the laundry room.
People's Exhibit 446.
Standing in the southwest corner of the garage, facing east. So I'm standing right in front of the stairway to the laundry room.
People's Exhibit 447.
This is right at the base of the stairs to the laundry room. And I'm showing that there's a rug there and stairs leading into the laundry room.
Now, as you're walking through this garage area, how do you know which areas of the garage to specifically focus on?
There are multiple case considerations we have to take into. For example, the question was if there were latent bloodstains between the garage and his bedroom. It's not observed in these photographs yet, but there is a woodworking shop in the garage that would have been difficult for a vehicle to be parked or anybody to be present. So what we focused on were the open areas where you could walk or park a vehicle.
And in terms of the scope that you're allowed to document and process when you're on a scene, is that dictated by anything?
Yes, we have to work within the parameters of a search warrant. If there's something that we want to collect that are outside of the search warrant, we have to apply for another search warrant to be able to collect that.
And that goes directly to my first question really should have been, are you just allowed to walk into a house and start processing?
No, we are not. We are initially first requested by a law enforcement agency, traditionally the Sheriff's Office or Colorado Springs Police Department. And once they receive a search warrant, we are able to enter a home for our documentation and evidence collection purposes.
And so now what we see in People's Exhibit 447 is a piece of carpet. What was important for you to do next when you observed this piece of carpet?
For the purposes of what we were doing, again, we were searching for latent bloodstains. So our next step was to start spraying the garage with Blue Star to see if we could get a chemiluminescence.
And can you explain for the jury the steps in very basic steps of even just beginning to spray Blue Star? Where do you get it?
So Blue Star is a proprietary chemical and it comes in 2 vials. We have to put these 2 vials with a certain amount of distilled water and mix that up. Once it is mixed up in a spray bottle, we will lightly spray over wherever we are trying to search for bloodstains. And we lightly spray over it because it will fluoresce or it will chemiluminesce very quickly. And once we see the chemiluminescence, we'll try to photograph it. But what's most important is that we swab it and note it.
In terms of timing, is that important when you know that you're going to use Blue Star to when you start spraying it?
Sorry, could you repeat the question?
Timing, is that important when you're using Blue Star? Can you, mix the reagent and use it for 3 hours later? Is that important? Does it matter?
So there is a shelf life to Blue Star, but we are able to use it for, if we mix it when we initially get to a crime scene, we're able to continue using it throughout the duration of the crime scene, whether it be a day or not.
Okay. And People's Exhibit 448. Again, what are we seeing here?
People's Exhibit 448 is another photograph from that same location. However, now I've slightly moved up to show in relation to where the doorway is, where I was standing.
People's 449.
This is another photograph of the rug, but it's taking facing southwest now. So it's just an additional angle of the stairwell and the rug itself.
And specifically with regard to those stairs, is there a difference how these stairs appear now versus the other photos that we've seen?
Absolutely. In the previous images, the stairs were dry and kind of a lighter shade, but now you can see that they're a darker shade. That is because I had sprayed Blue Star on these stairs, resulting in them being saturated.
People's Exhibit 450. What are we looking at here?
People's Exhibit 450 is a Blue Star photograph showing the chemiluminescence of the positive reaction with Blue Star, predominantly on the rug and slightly west of the rug.
And in terms of photographing Blue Star, are there anything that you encountered when you were there on February 3rd of 2020 that morning?
When it comes to photographing Blue Star, it is difficult to photograph because you have to manually control many settings on your camera that force a certain amount of light in for a certain period of time. So we have very high powered cameras that we can adjust those settings to take photographs like this.
And would now be a good time to use your camera?
Absolutely.
Okay, we did see you walk up to the stand with the camera. Would explaining how Blue Star is photographed and using that camera be helpful for you in demonstrating that to the jury? Your Honor, permission for the witness to use his camera for demonstrative purposes only?
Defense?
No objection.
You may, go ahead.
Now, Mr. Lewer, you started to explain the fancy settings of your camera. Can you explain that to the jury?
Absolutely. So what I have here is a Nikon D500 camera. And the reason we use these, like I said before, is that we can manually adjust many settings on this camera to take photographs that you normally wouldn't be able to on your cell phone. So we're predominantly concerned with three settings in general. The aperture, which if you look at the front of the lens here, that's the opening in which the light will come in. That's kind of like the pupil of your eye. We're concerned with the ISO setting, which is simply saying how sensitive the camera is to light itself. So if I have a higher ISO, that means photographs will appear brighter because it's more sensitive to light. And then additionally, when I take this lens off, being very careful, you can see here, there's this mirror. There's going to be a shutter in here. That's what opens and closes when we're trying to capture a photograph. And the reason that is important is because we have to focus on the shutter speed of our camera. And what that means is if I have a very fast shutter speed, it means it opens and closes very fast, not letting much light in. But if I have the shutter speed open for a very long time, it allows more light to come in, meaning I can take photographs in the dark that are brighter, but that can also show the chemiluminescence of Blue Star. Additionally, I didn't bring it up, but the aperture is an additional way to allow light in. But for the purposes of Blue Star, it is predominantly the shutter speed that we are concerned with.
Now, what are the ideal conditions to even do this photography in?
With Blue Star, you have to have a dark room. It doesn't have to be completely dark, but to see a reaction, it has to be mostly dark. So with that being said, we have to have our camera settings allowing us to take photographs in the dark with very minimal light.
And
I apologize. I was going to say, but as you can see here in the bottom portion of this photo, you can see that there is some light. We have to have some light present within the scene to show what the conditions look like with the Blue Star chemiluminescence, because it doesn't really tell much if we have bright blue, but nothing behind it to show what it's on.
can you walk the jury through the different areas where reaction is being observed here in People's Exhibit 450?
Absolutely. So this is at the base of the stairs leading to the laundry room and the garage. So this is along the south wall of the garage in the southwest corner.
And would you point that out on People's Exhibit 442 for the jury as well?
Like I said before, the upper half of this diagram is the main level of the residence. In the upper right-hand corner, that is the garage. You can see along the south or the bottom wall of this diagram that there are many blue dots. Each blue dot represents a blue star reaction that I had on my first visit on February 3rd. Going forward, the green dots will be my second visit and the purple dots will be my third visit. But I'm sure we'll get there.
So after you see this positive reaction in People's Exhibit 450, what is your next step?
When we have a blue star positive reaction, we have to consider the substrate that it's on or what the blue star is reacting with. So in this case, we have a rug that we could easily collect. So we just collect that easily. However, if we have blue star reactions on a wall or floor, we can't collect the wall or the floor. So we'll have to collect a sample of that blue star reaction itself.
Your Honor, permission to approach the witness with People's Exhibit 451, and I will show it to the defense as well.
All right.
Mr. Lever, do you recognize People's Exhibit 451?
Could I handle it real fast?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I do recognize this.
How do you recognize it?
This is the rug that I collected from the base of those stairs. And the reason I recognize it is the label has the description of where it came from. It has my employee ID number as well as the item number. And then there are additional tape seals on the back with my initials and the date that it was sealed up. However, there are additional tape seals and markings on the rug indicating it has been examined by further lab personnel.
Aside from those differences that you pointed out, would you say that it is in the same or substantially same condition as when you last observed and collected it?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, at this time, we would move for the admission of People's Exhibit 451.
Exhibit 451 will be admitted. Go ahead.
Now, after you note the reaction in People's Exhibit 450, what do we see now in People's Exhibit 400 and, oh, sorry, whoops. Went ahead myself, Your Honor. Your Honor, permission to approach the witness with what has been marked as People's Exhibits 452 through 458.
Exhibit 452 through 458 will be admitted.
Thank you.
So, no objection to those.
I'll lay the
exhibits.
foundation, Your Honor. Mr. Lewer, would you take a moment, familiarize yourself with People's Exhibit 452 through 458?
Absolutely.
How do you recognize those exhibits?
These are additional photographs that I took during my first visit to 6627 Mandan Drive.
And generally, what area do those photos show?
Generally, this is going to be along the south wall of the garage.
And are they a fair and accurate depiction of what you saw that day?
Yes, they are.
Your Honor, at this time, we now move for the admission of People's Exhibits 452 through 458.
Okay.
Thank you.
Exhibits 452 through 458 will be admitted.
Now we can show 452. All right. Mr. Lewer, can you explain to the jury what we're looking at in People's Exhibit 452?
So as you can see along the right-hand side of this image, you can see the carpet that we've alluded to before. So this is facing, or this is slightly east of that carpet, looking at the floor.
In 453, what are we seeing now?
This is a blue star photograph of the ground nearby the rug.
Now, is this fair to say that this is a bit brighter?
Yes.
Okay. And when you see this blue star reaction, again, what is important for you to do next?
Again, what's important most is to document it in our notes and collect a sample of it.
People's Exhibit 454. What are you documenting here?
This is a photograph of a military backpack along the south wall of the garage.
455.
This is a photograph of that bag moved, so we can search for blue star reactions underneath the bag.
456.
And this is a blue star positive reaction photograph after the bag had been removed.
457.
We've rotated slightly to the east. This is a photograph of the southeast corner of the garage, highlighting those boards and the box directly south of the boards.
And 458.
This is a positive blue star reaction on the boards and on that box that I've alluded to.
Your Honor, permission to approach the witness with what has been marked as People's Exhibit 459.
You may, go ahead.
Mr. Leeward, do you recognize People's Exhibit 459?
Yes, I do.
How do you recognize it?
This is an envelope with swabs that I collected of the positive blue star reactions within the garage. And again, this is based on the label indicating where it came from with my employee ID number and the tape seals. And again, there are additional tape seals indicating that this has been examined by additional lab personnel.
And in terms of the various swabbings that you did in that area of interest for you in People's Exhibit 458, are those swabs contained in People's Exhibit 459?
Yes, they are. If there was a blue star reaction and it was swabbed, it is collected and placed in this envelope.
And again, is that envelope same or substantially same, given the differences that you've pointed out to the jury?
Other than the additional tape seals, then yes, it would be.
Your Honor, at this time, we would be moved for the admission of People's Exhibit 459.
Mr. Tellini?
No objection.
Exhibit 459 will be admitted. Go ahead.
Now, Mr. Lewer, there's some particular areas that you noted in People's 458, and just to be clear, the reaction includes the boards, but it also includes another object?
Yes, it does. As you can see, the multiple boards in this photograph have a blue star reaction. But if you look at the box to the top of this image, there's some blue chemiluminescence. That was swabbed, whereas the boards were collected.
And can you just clarify for the jury on People's Exhibit 442 where that reaction is taking place?
Absolutely. As we can see on the top right-hand portion of the main level in the diagram, we have 3 dots on the southeast corner of the garage. That's going to include the box as well as the boards in the photograph that you see here.
Your Honor, permission to approach the witness with what has been marked as People's Exhibits 460 through 476.
You may.
Thank you.
For that set of exhibits, Mr. Lewer, do you recognize those?
Let me take a look. So much. I appreciate you.
Your Honor, permission to approach the witness. These are slippery.
Sorry?
Permission to approach the witness. The pictures are.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Thank you.
All right, do you generally recognize People's Exhibits 460 through, I believe, 477?
Yes, I do. These are additional photographs that I took during my first scene processing.
And Your Honor, sorry, just to clarify, 460 through 476 is actually the number of exhibits there.
Right, go ahead.
Are they fair and accurate?
Yes, they are.
Your Honor, at this time, we would move for the admission of People's Exhibits 460 through 476.
Mr. Tellini? No objection. Exhibits 460 through 476 will be admitted.
Now, Mr. Leeward, behind you is People's Exhibit 460. You'd mentioned some presumptive positive reactions that you noticed with the boards. What are you documenting in People's Exhibit 460?
What I'm documenting here is that there was initially an additional black bag right in the center of the photograph to the right or the east of the last board. And I moved that bag, and that's what I'm photographing in this depiction right here.
In 461, what are we seeing here?
This is a blue star positive reaction photograph slightly east of those boards and on the boards as well.
462.
This is a photograph directly of the boards at their south end.
463.
Again, a blue star positive reaction photograph. It's difficult to see, but it's on the farthest bottom board or the farthest east board in this photograph.
And Mr. Leeward, would you use the pointer just to point that out to the jury?
So using the pointer, it's going to be slightly in the middle of this image, but it's going to be the board that we are going to refer to as, I believe, 4. And it's this blue chemiluminescence towards the center on the screen right here.
People's 464.
This is another photograph of the boards, but as you can see towards the bottom of the image now, I've labeled the boards. I've labeled north, and I've given them arbitrary numbers as 1 through 4.
And would you point that out to the jury as well?
Absolutely. So I previously testified that that board was number 4. It was actually number 1. I apologize for that. But here on the bottom side of this image, you can see towards the center of these boards, I've labeled them 1, 2, 3, and 4. I've indicated a north arrow, and I've written top, indicating that that is the top of the board.
465.
This is a close-up image of that information.
466.
This is after I cut the boards. We decided to do this because the boards were very long. They spanned the entire length of the garage. So instead of having to contain all of the board, we cut the samples that we had presumptive positive reactions on.
And would these boards now be made available to other members of law enforcement or other people for additional access?
Yes, they would.
People's Exhibit 467, can you orient the jury as to where we're at now?
Absolutely. This is kind of a difficult photograph to discern where we are. But along the left side of this image, you can kind of see the end of a stairwell. And on the diagram here, in the bottom left side of the garage, we're in the southwest corner, looking directly in that corner. So where the rug initially was, it'll be slightly west of that.
People's 468.
This is a blue star reaction underneath the items within that southwest corner.
469.
We've moved some of those items to better visualize what was under those items.
470.
An additional blue star reaction photograph of that same area.
Now, you did explain that you like to work outside in, and so as you've documented various areas around the garage, what is the next area of focus for you?
Naturally, our next indication would be to move into the garage. So what we did after we blue starred this area was move further into the laundry room.
So in People's Exhibit 471, what are you documenting here?
This is a photograph of the door to the laundry room, but we're within the garage. So we have not crossed that threshold yet.
And People's Exhibit 472.
This is a blue star positive reaction photograph, and it's kind of difficult to see, but at the top of this image, towards the middle of the screen, there's a blue marking on the door.
People's Exhibit 473.
This is a photograph once we've opened up the doorway to the laundry room.
People's Exhibit 474.
This is a photograph of Blue Star positive reactions on the floor of the laundry room. Again, it may be a little bit difficult to see, but it's right on the floor, right as you cross the threshold, and it's towards the center of the image.
People's 475.
Now we're standing within the laundry room, facing the doorway and looking at the ground towards what would be the entrance of the home.
People's 476.
Additional Blue Star reactions along that floor between the doors of the home and the laundry room.
And Mr. Leeward, would you go ahead and point out those different spots for the jury?
Absolutely. So we can see the washer and dryer along the left side of the screen. And we can also see some laundry baskets on the right hand of this image. And we're facing south now. So you can see some of these blue speckles along that walkway between the washer and dryer and the laundry baskets.
And are you also documenting that on People's Exhibit 442?
I am. So you can see we've alluded that the garage is in the upper left-hand corner. Now, as you move south, you can see the doorway. And this linear stretch that orients north-south, that is the laundry room. And you can see three blue dots indicating the positive Blue Star reactions that I viewed. However, the 3 is arbitrary. It's documenting the location. It's not the number of reactions we saw.
And People's Exhibit 400 and let's see. And you can take a seat now if you'd like. Now, at some point, you'd explained that certain ideal conditions for photographing Blue Star. At what point in the day are you now coming back? Can you explain that again to the jury?
So as I mentioned before, we are there around noon, the noontime, so very bright outside. You can see that in this image depicted that there's light coming in underneath the doorway, which can be troublesome when we're trying to take very dark photographs for a Blue Star. So at this point, we decided with the amount of Blue Star reactions that were observed, that it would be beneficial to respond to the address in the evening hours to search for Blue Star. So because we could make the house darker.
And did you actually respond later in the evening hours on February 3rd of 2020?
Yes, I did. I responded around 6 p.m.
And did you respond with anybody else from your team?
CSI Robert Zaleski responded with me in a training capacity.
And Your Honor, permission to approach.
You may.
You.
Oh.
Sure. I was confused as well.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take our lunch recess. If I can have everyone back in the jury room, say 1:20, we should be able to start on time at that point. Again, don't discuss the case among yourself. Don't discuss the case with anyone else, and have a good lunch. And we'll see you back at 1:20. All rise for the jury, please.